conversation, our friends here who are going to help us make sense of this piece of news today. That includes our friend, political analyst Brian Sobel, and Bloomberg senior politics reporter Stephanie Lai. And you guys, thanks for being with us. I know you've been following this news all day. I guess, Stephanie, I'm going to start with you here. The debates are happening, just not how we envision people who cover the campaigns day in and day out. Were you surprised in your reporting that this came together so quickly? We had heard from Trump and Biden in the weeks prior saying, yeah, they're open to debates. We didn't know what that would look like until today. Now we do.
Certainly. This came to as a surprise to me as well this morning. We've heard them talk about it, as you've mentioned, but we didn't expect to hear anything come forward this soon. Of course, you know, the three debates had been outlined by the commission already, but the campaigns had said that it's just too late in the cycle to be hosting them at that point. Instead, they've suggested hosting them earlier in June, and that's sort of what we're seeing play out now.
You know, Brian, I want to put up for our viewers here, Reese Gorman at the Daily Beast kind of screenshotted this letter from the Biden-Harris camp to the Commission on Presidential Debates. It's from one of the senior campaign advisors, Jen O'Malley Dillon, and there's a lot in it. If we could take that full here. One of the main stipulations from the Biden camp is no audience. Now, I know you've been at a lot of debates, Brian. Are you partial yourself to audiences or not? What do they add or detract from a debate? That is one of the main stipulations from the Biden camp.
My view is that you want an audience there. Having a debate inside a closed studio with the moderators and the two candidates, I think lacks the spontaneity that people expect to see when they sit down to watch a debate. Now, it's true that they can get kind of raucous and people are admonished not to clap or whistle or whatever, and they still do. But there's something about a live audience and the debater, and I've debated a lot, being able to look into an audience and see how people are reacting to what you're saying or to what your opponent is saying is pretty important. So this is going to be fairly sterile.
Okay. You know, Stephanie, too, I mean, to Brian's point about how they get raucous, we all remember the debates in 2020. There were only two of them. The first one, I mean, they could barely get a word in. They were interrupting each other constantly. You know, poor Chris Wallace, who was at Fox at the time, you know, he kind of said it was so difficult to you know, wrangle these candidates, Biden and Trump here. And that was one of the main stipulations from Jen O'Malley Dillon in that letter we just showed, essentially saying the Biden camp is not going to do these debates from the commission because the rules the commission set in 2020 were not followed, were not abided by. What did you make of that?
Well, look, you know, when we saw this played out in the Republican primary debates, when the candidates speak over each other, it is extremely difficult to understand what policy points they're trying to put together. And so for the American people, it's much more worth it to have a very clear time set for the candidates to present their policy and not to interrupt each other. And I think it is probably one of the main concerns from the Biden camp because, you know, Trump has been known to speak over Biden. And, you know, if he does this again in these next debates, it would be really hard to be able to figure out what, you know, who's saying what or what points are important for us to take away, you know, should one candidate just be louder than the other.
Okay, but, you know, you're talking about rules from 2020 that the Biden camp is saying weren't followed because there was constant interrupting. That was one of the Biden campaign stipulations. Again, this rule that candidates must mute their microphone after time expires. I mean, how will that be enforced, Brian?
Well, essentially, it can be enforced if the microphones are cut. And you notice that the Biden camp really are trying to set up a set of guidelines, guardrails, to make sure that their candidate can get his positions out there without having to deal with interference from the other candidate. Sometimes that plays both ways.
You know, I want to also chime in here with the fact, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been chiming in all day, because no third-party candidates, that was a Biden camp stipulation, as well here. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is really not taking this news well or lying down. We have a tweet that he made today. I'm going to read it here. He says this: Presidents Trump and Biden are colluding to lock America into a head-to-head matchup that 70% say they do not want. It goes on to say they're trying to exclude me from their debate because they're afraid I would win. If we have the RFK Jr. tweet, let's put that up here as well. It goes on to say keeping viable candidates off the debate stage undermines democracy. Do you think we'll ever see a debate stage with RFK Jr. on it up until November?
My sense is no, that they will keep him off the stage. His minimal requirement would be to poll at 15%. I'm not sure he's going to do that, but that would be under the other set of rules. There's nothing in it for either President Biden or former President Trump to have him on the stage. The two candidates feel like they have to go head to head, and he becomes a distraction. Okay. But he's an important distraction, make no mistake about it, because depending on who he takes votes away from, that could really affect the race.
Okay, we have the tweet now. I want to read the majority of it. He goes on to say, these are the two most unpopular candidates in living memory. By excluding me from the stage, Presidents Biden and Trump seek to avoid discussion of their 8 years of mutual failure, including deficits, wars, lockdowns, chronic disease, and inflation here. Stephanie, the RFK Jr. campaign, they're getting signatures to get on ballots. They just did in Texas. And so the campaign, it seems, has momentum here. But if Americans can't hear from the candidate itself, is that all moot?
That is a very good point. He is making a lot of inroads, and it's making both the campaign sweat. The fact that he has about 10% in polling shows that he has the potential to really change the outcome of this election. If he pulls these votes from states like Michigan, Wisconsin, any of the swing states, that would play a very significant role. But of course, he doesn't have the name ID that Donald Trump or President Biden have. So certainly these debates would help his stature.
I want to put, also we have something from the Commission on Presidential Debates as well. We made the graphic of all the dates and the venues that have already been set. Let's put that up here just to give the juxtaposition. So the Commission had set out these 4 dates and locations, 3 presidential debates and 1 vice presidential debate, all in September and October. That was another kind of main grievance from the Biden camp. They tried to work with the CPD, they said, because, by those dates, Brian and Stephanie, voters will already have voted. Now, what's the downside if you don't have the debate if a voter has already voted, or if you do have a debate and a voter has already voted? Does it matter? Does the Biden camp have a point, Brian, to have them earlier in the cycle? I mean, if Brian, the one that is set on CNN is in June. Will people even remember by November what was said at a debate in June?
Well, I think this year, yes. I think you've got 2 known candidates. And I think that from the Biden perspective, if you have them earlier, if there are some issues with the performance of the president, you have time to recover from that. If you're late in the cycle and things go poorly, you give your opponent a real edge. And I think being able to debate early and then move on with the rest of the campaign, I think the Biden campaign thinks benefits their candidate.
Okay. Stephanie, does this render the Commission on Presidential Debates irrelevant?
Potentially. I mean, this is one of the first times that we've seen 2 candidates react like this. And so what happened this year really could set the tone for future presidential cycles.
And just lastly on, what this might look like, you guys, we know from 2020 it was very nasty. It was very personal. We have reporting as well from the Biden camp that multiple sources close to Biden have told us the president literally hates Trump. It's very, very personal. And so who's to say it's not going to get that way in June and September when these debates happen? I mean, Brian, you and I have talked about debates on whether or not they're useful for voters who might not have decided who they want to vote for, some maybe independents. But for Republicans and Democrats, the personalities of Biden and Trump, who they are as politicians and people, that's baked in already. How can a debate move that needle?
It isn't. I think for the core Trump supporters, the core Biden supporters, how they perform in these debates will not change their minds. But, we are looking at some X factors. Will RFK Jr. Make a difference as we get closer to the election? Will the independents and those that are on the fringes make some other choices? That's really the question. And if we have another election that comes down to basically a 50-50 outcome, some of those factors may actually put one or other of the candidates over the top.
All right, Brian Sobel, Stephanie Lai, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Talk soon.
My pleasure.